Have you ever looked at someone and realized they were once your entire world and now they're a stranger who won't even meet your eyes? That's what happened to Ethan Carter, a billionaire who thought he had everything: power, money, status, but not love. Not anymore. It all started on a crisp winter evening in New York City. The streets outside the cafe were glowing under holiday lights, couples laughing and holding hands. Inside, the warm smell of roasted coffee beans filled the air. Ethan walked in with a quiet confidence, his hand casually holding that of his new girlfriend, Chloe, a model with perfect hair, perfect lips, and a perfect smile crafted for cameras. They wanted a relaxing night, just some dessert and peace from the chaos of the city. But life has a way of throwing storms into still water. Ethan's eyes were wandering around the cafe, bored, detached, when suddenly someone stopped him in his tracks. A waitress. Her name tag read Emily. His heartbeat stuttered, his breath caught. Because Emily wasn't just any waitress. She was his ex-wife, the woman he once promised a lifetime to, the woman he left behind. And if that wasn't enough to rip open every closed door in his heart, she was pregnant. Her belly was large, ready to pop, kind of pregnant. She looked exhausted, moving slower than the others, one hand constantly touching her lower back as if supporting herself. Her hair was tied back quickly, stray strands falling around her face. No makeup, no luxury, just a brave woman fighting through her day. Ethan's world spun. He didn't know what to do, didn't know what to feel: shock, guilt, fear, hope, everything all at once. Chloe noticed him freezing. "What's wrong?" she whispered. Ethan swallowed hard. "That woman, that's Emily," he said quietly. "My ex-wife." Chloe's eyebrows shot up. She glanced at Emily, then back at Ethan. "Wow. Do you want to leave?" she asked, unsure. Leave? No, he couldn't move. Not now, not after seeing the truth he never expected to face again. Emily finally noticed him. Her body stiffened. Her smile vanished, and all the warmth drained from her eyes, replaced with anger, hurt, and a deep, deep disappointment. After a few seconds that felt like eternity, Ethan stood up, almost like someone pushed him, and walked toward her. He didn't know what he was going to say. He didn't rehearse this chance meeting because he never believed it would happen. "Emily," his voice cracked, weak and unfamiliar. But Emily didn't melt. She didn't tremble. She turned to steel. "What do you want, Ethan?" she said sharply. "If you need something, ask any other server here." Her tone slapped him harder than any physical blow. "I just wanted to talk," he whispered. Emily laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "Talk? Like how you used to? Ignore me for years, then claim you never meant to hurt me," she snapped. Ethan lowered his eyes, shame burning through him. "I didn't know you were pregnant," she finished for him. "What a shocker. But of course you wouldn't know. You never cared enough to ask." Her voice wavered, but her stare remained unbroken. "You walked away from my heart long before you walked away from my life." She turned and walked off before he could gather words that meant anything. Ethan stood there, completely frozen, as memories from the past crushed him. Love. Fights. Nights he wasn't home. Work always first. Her tears soaked into their pillow while he slept without noticing. He returned to the table in silence. Chloe didn't ask anything. She understood her presence suddenly felt wrong. That night, Ethan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, unable to close his eyes. The city noises outside were fading, but inside his head, Emily's voice echoed like thunder. "Is that child mine? Did I truly leave her alone like that? Was I that blind? Or just that cruel?" By morning, he made a decision, one powered by guilt, fear, and a deep ache he thought he buried forever. He had to know the truth, not because he wanted to intrude, but because somewhere inside, he hoped life was giving him one more chance to make something right. So Ethan used every resource money could buy: investigators, digital searches, medical leaks, things billionaires do when they're desperate. What he found hit him harder than anything before. Emily had nothing. After their divorce, she had lost the apartment, Lost her job when pregnancy slowed her down. Lost financial stability. Lost the world she built around him. Now she was working 2 shifts at that cafe, struggling to afford even basic things. She went to the doctor alone, cried alone, ate alone, nurtured their child. Alone. Ethan felt his chest tighten, like it was collapsing inward. His heart seemed to scream, "How could I have let this happen? How did I become the man who destroyed the woman who once loved him more than life?" He couldn't undo the past, but he could at least soften the present. So quietly, anonymously, he paid all her medical bills, every dollar. He thought it would help. He thought she would smile. He thought she might be relieved. He thought wrong. When Emily discovered it, she was livid, furious. She marched out of the cafe, tracked down the payment source, him, and confronted him with fire in her eyes. "Why?" she demanded. "Why stick your nose back into my life now?" Ethan tried to speak calmly. "I thought you needed help." "No," she snapped. "What I needed was a partner, a husband, someone who cared enough to stay." He looked like he might collapse. "I can't go back and change it," he whispered. "No," she agreed coldly, "which is exactly why you need to stay out of my life now." With that, she ended the conversation. But Ethan couldn't walk away anymore. Something inside him, a conscience that had slept for years, was suddenly awake and burning. He needed to become better, not to win Emily back, not to feel like a savior, but because he had turned into a man he couldn't stand anymore. So he sought help, therapy, support groups, hard conversations he never imagined having about himself. He admitted his failures, confessed where he destroyed love in the chase for success. People in the group asked him, "Are you doing this for her or for you?" He didn't know the answer then, but life was about to give him one. Weeks later, the phone rang. Emily had been rushed to the hospital. Complications? Serious ones. Ethan drove like a madman, running red lights, ignoring every law in existence. He reached the hospital breathless, panic written all over him. Emily was already in an emergency delivery room. He wasn't allowed in, so he waited. Every passing second cut through him like a blade. And for the first time in decades, Ethan Carter, billionaire, tycoon, the man who conquered industries, felt completely powerless. "Please," he whispered to whatever force was listening. "Save her. Save the baby. I don't care about anything else." Hours crawled by until finally, a doctor stepped out. "She's okay," he said, and she delivered a healthy baby boy. Ethan's knees gave out with relief. He rushed to Emily's room as soon as they allowed him in. She looked weak, pale, exhausted, tubes connected to her arms, but still so unbelievably strong. When her eyes opened and she saw him sitting there, her voice was barely a whisper. "What are you doing here?" Ethan tightened his grip on her hand. "I'm here because I love him already," he said, nodding toward the tiny incubator where the baby rested. "And because I'm not running anymore." Emily stared into his eyes, searching for lies. But there were none left. He stayed through the night, and the next. He didn't go home, didn't shower, didn't sleep more than minutes at a time. He fed the baby, Caleb, when nurses showed him how. He held the tiny newborn against his chest, tears silently falling each time Caleb wrapped his little fingers around his. Emily watched him, confused, uncertain, afraid to believe. But day by day, something shifted. He didn't miss a single doctor's visit. He learned every medicine name. He rocked Caleb to sleep. He even sang, badly but lovingly. One night, Emily woke up from a nap and saw Ethan sitting shirtless in the recliner, Caleb asleep against his skin-to-skin bonding like the doctor recommended. His head hung back, exhaustion written everywhere. Emily felt her throat tighten. For months she hated him, blamed him, cursed him. But right then, she saw not a billionaire, not a selfish man, not the person who hurt her, but the father her son deserved. "You've changed," she whispered. He opened his eyes slowly. "I finally understand what love is," he replied gently. "It's not fancy gifts. It's not grand vacations. It's showing up, even when you're tired, even when it's not fun, Even when you're scared, Emily's walls weren't demolished, but cracks were forming. "I want to believe you," she whispered, "but I'm scared." "I know," he said, "and I'll wait, as long as it takes." As the months passed, Caleb became the bridge rebuilding their connection. They laughed together again, first at Caleb's silly expressions, then at jokes they used to share. They started eating together, talking again, healing quietly. But healing isn't a straight line. One evening, Emily asked a question that had been haunting her. "Why did you leave me back then, Ethan? What was I missing?" Ethan didn't sugarcoat anything. "I was terrified," he admitted. "I thought career success was what made me worthy. I believed love could wait, that you would always be there when I finally made time." He looked down at his hands, trembling slightly. "And by the time I realized the truth, I had already pushed you too far away." Emily's eyes filled with tears, but this time not from anger. "What truth?" she asked softly. "That none of this," he motioned around them, "means anything without you, without him." He looked at her more vulnerably than he ever had. "You and Caleb are home." Emily wiped her tears but didn't look away. She wasn't ready to forget the past, but she was learning to look beyond it. They weren't suddenly perfect. They weren't magically healed, but they were trying, together. One night, after putting Caleb to bed, Emily sat beside Ethan on the couch. Silence lingered between them like a fragile thread. "Do you think we could try again?" she asked nervously. "Not as if nothing happened, but as new versions of ourselves?" Ethan turned toward her, eyes shining with hope he was scared to show. "I won't let you down this time," he promised. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving that." Emily reached for his hand, and for the first time in a long, long while, their fingers intertwined naturally, like they were always meant to. That night didn't erase the past, but it became the foundation of a new future. A future where Ethan didn't just claim love, he showed it. Every day, every moment. He learned that love isn't something you earn once. It's something you recommit to constantly. The man who once believed success was measured in dollars now measured his wealth in bedtime stories, late-night feedings, and tiny hands gripping his. He had once built empires. Now, he was building a family, and that was the greatest empire of all. Because sometimes, life gives us a second chance, not to redo the past, but to rebuild the future. Ethan and Emily's love story isn't a fairy tale. It's real, messy, painful, complicated, but it is also hopeful, brave, and beautifully reborn. And as long as they keep choosing each other, their story will always have more chapters waiting to be written. Moral of the story: don't let pride destroy what love tried so hard to build. Sometimes the greatest success in life is learning how to love again. Call to action. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in second chances.